It seems so insane to think that the man or the woman that you are right now has been impacted by your parents. You're like this, almost like you have a piece of your parents that is in you, and this isn't like like not your mama's booty, right, or your daddy's chest genetics, but like seriously, think about how you're growing up and you go home to them after baseball practice. The dinner's ready. The Sunday morning pancakes before church. When you go to Chuck E. Cheese with your parents, like they're always there, they're always watching over you, and their habits are slowly making their way into like your life. Slowly, their emotions are sort of just showered over you, and so you become like your parents, and this could be for bad or for good. I know some of us, our parents weren't exactly the best, and you know that's tough. That's tough because as a kid, you're exposed. You're like vulnerable. You have to rely on your parents. You have to rely on someone. That's the thing about having these bigger heads is that we come out of the womb, and we're just completely vulnerable for like more than 9 months, man. Like after we come out, we need 2 years. We can't do anything for ourselves. We can't talk. We just cry all the time. We cry. Mom comes and gets us. Dad runs over. Hush, 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 hush. Right? We can't do anything. And so we're not like this giraffe, right? The giraffe has the baby just up and walking in like a minute. So I don't know if giraffes can actually do that. So the influence of our parents is unavoidable. If you don't have parents, someone or something has raised you, like a majority of that thing has raised you and brought you up and given you the beliefs and the personality even, like they've attributed to that. So I think it's really worth taking a look at where you come from, getting back to the roots, and almost just as you're watching this video, maybe think about your past life. Not your past life, your childhood. Think about being a kid again. Young Eli, young Bobby, young Jacob, sitting there, playing. Where did you go with your parents? For me, I went to the flea markets like every single week. And down in Florida, the flea markets are huge. Okay, there's people, vendors set up, merchants, there's food. It's almost like a fair without the rides. And my dad was like the main guy. He was like the man that everyone knew at the flea markets. He would load up his U-Haul and he would bring me and my little sister every single week. We would go and unload like this 30-foot U-Haul. It would take us an hour and a half, and like just, that was the most miserable part of it. But the best part of it was that once everything was set up, I was hanging out with all the kids at the flea market. I was watching my dad. I ain't renting it out. I'm selling it. I got kids to feed. He was always goofy, but he always was still, pedal to the metal. Gotta sell my junk that I picked up. Gotta make a living for the family. So I learned a lot from being around that. I think when I look back, I don't think there was anything more than me being with my dad at the flea markets, me being with him when he would lift up those old junky storage units and, shine the light. This was before the time where they had that show where they go into the old storage units, and people can't pay for them anymore. They give them up for auction, shine a light, and you make a bid on them. I had never been impacted more, going to garage sales and just hearing my dad ask for gold. It's like, who does that? Who does that, man? Or try to sell your junk. Like, no one wants your junk, but somehow he ended up selling all of his junk. And somehow I still was able to get allowance, even though it seemed like money was tight. And so I learned a lot of things from that. And one thing I learned is to be real, and don't be scared. But you know what? I was scared a long time, man. I'll tell you what, I was scared a long time, filled with anxiety of what people thought about me. Still am filled with it a bit. But it does get better the more and more that you try. But even my walk, in the gym, I remember there's a long hallway and I could hardly walk without feeling like there was some weight to my legs, and people were watching me. It was like I was wading through water, and everything's just weird. Everything's weird. I was never really comfortable. It's like, and I've had moments where I just snap out of it. I just snap out of it. And it's like, you can do that too. You just snap right out of it. It's like life is, you're almost this actor in this big game. You can snap out of it whenever you want. Now, yeah, you gotta have energy. If you're low energy, you're tired, you're malnourished, you can't really do that too much. But, whether it's work, wherever you are, with girls, with your friends, you can snap out of it. And I think that's a really, really important point to realize, is like, other people are constantly going to perceive you, and you can, even if you're not feeling the best, you can still put on a show, fake it till you make it, maybe, but like really getting good at that. Anyway, that's sort of digressing from where I'm going with this, but so I never realized that, what brings me a lot of happiness is talking to people and sales and being around other people and just like this energy. And I love that, right? Even though I'm pretty introvert, I love being there. I think a lot of that is back to the flea market. So I think you should ask yourself, what was I doing years ago? What were my parents doing that I was influenced by that maybe I should reintroduce into my life? A lot of chess players, most grandmasters start out playing chess as a child. They look at the chess piece as like a toy. And then eventually, when their mind can start to understand, their parents introduce the strategy of that piece, what the piece can do, the movement. And then eventually they become, fascinated by the endless possibilities of moving these pieces. And then eventually they play so much and they practice so much and study so much that they become a grandmaster. And their parents, like the whole time, usually like chess, and it's sort of this guiding hand pushing them along to go. Right? And they end up doing it. Many people, it's like very hard to become a grandmaster once you hit a certain age. Dance, usually, or a musician, usually your parent is a musician. And they're good at that, and they, you want to bond with them, so you even play, if it's subconsciously, you play to bond, to connect with them, and they help you get better. And then you have siblings that do it, and everyone's like having fun, but you're kind of competing, and that's really cool. And what it gives you is like an opportunity to like already be head start of everyone else who wasn't doing these things when you were younger. So, I know for a fact that you were doing something. You know what I did a lot when I was younger? Skateboard. What does that have to transition to? Should I start skateboarding again? You're right, maybe I'll try it and have fun, but like, it also taught me to be social at the skate park. I was like always wanting to be social with everyone. Or there's just so many things that it doesn't have to be, it can be a little abstract, but you can still get a lot of benefit. Many of us work these shitty jobs we're not proud of. We want to make a transition. We need a little bit more income. And I'm telling you that if you have no direction, you need to take a few moments, cut the bullshit out, get rid of the video game, shut the video off, and just think about, write it down. Go back in time. What was I spending my time doing? And how does that transition, can I implement that into my current life now? And you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised what you've neglected. I've heard people say it's in my blood. Being a carpenter, my dad was a carpenter, it's in my blood. Well, maybe it's not in your blood, but you were around the shop. You were around the tools. You saw how he did it. I mean, you have this mirror sort of connection. Mirror neurons are firing when you're watching your dad, or, there's just being around that. It already gives you an advantage. Being around the emotions and the mood and the other people involved. And so I think that you should rediscover what you lost in childhood, right? And the influence of your parents, or the influence of, if you didn't have them, the influence of whoever was around you at the time, and what you enjoyed doing, what you found passion in doing, maybe sort of uncover that, unbury yourself, what you dug away from childhood. And that can change your life. That can get you out of a rut. That can give you something to hold on to and really chase after. And all it takes is a little bit. So I really wanted to talk about in this video what are the best jobs for teens. Now, as a teen, to narrow it down, not really much you can do as far as, you have limited time. You're still in school. Let's go even higher. Let's go maybe guys that never went to college. Maybe you're fresh out of college. So I've noticed that a lot of people tend to just fall into like a work, and just sort of make it paycheck to paycheck, never really being that happy. Even when you get out of school, it's like you just settle. Because 4 years, you've went numb. 4 years, you've been in Pleasure Island, drinking on the weekends. You get out, where do you work? You're like this overqualified Starbucks worker. You're working, it's like, don't just fall into these, like, use some sort of, be curious, man. Be curious, guys. That's what it is. And continue to be curious. And I'm telling you, the best jobs are probably somewhere where you're getting in front of other people. Other people have your money, right? Other people have your money. You want to have the autonomy to make your own income, okay? And you want to have time too. Like, you don't always want to be on this conveyor belt putting together, the star that goes on someone else's Christmas tree. Like, you want to be the star, right? You want to do something that is meaningful and not just like a drain of your time. I go into Aldi's, I just see like these people scanning the items, beep, 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 and somehow these people actually look more happy than the people at like the other Giant Eagle, Publix, stuff like that, that are not as busy. These people actually have a little light in their eyes. Those people, they like the light's gone. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because it is. Maybe it's because it's engaging and you get a flow. Like, right, you're just ching, 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 ching. You don't even think. You just like, phew, I know what I got to do. I'm doing it. But yeah, the best jobs have got to be where you're getting in front of other people and you're learning to talk to them. Okay. I think in the next couple of years, if you can be really good in the social realm, if you can understand how to win friends and influence people and sort of get an instant inside mind, it's like this mind sight, this clarity of mind on what the other person is thinking. Hold on, guys. All right. You have empathy. You're going to be able to relate to them. You're going to approach them with a smile. You're going to be kind. You know how much, the percentage, I had a trainer come to Minnie the other day and he said, people buy like 30% more of the time from people that they like. I mean, obviously, right? Obviously, be likable. Well, for many people, that's hard. How do I be likable? Start by smiling. You can start by actually showing care. And then you could start, there's definitely more techniques. I'll tell you what, the foundation is simple. There's a lot about body language. There's a lot about eye contact. There's a lot about voice. Right? There's a lot of, really body language is huge. But there's also ways of, I've almost realized that when you talk to someone, it's like a spar. Okay, it's like almost like a mini battle. It doesn't always have to be, but you're going into somewhere new for the first time, people are always going to gauge you. People are trying to figure you out and figure what you are about. And so they ask you questions. And maybe every time, you go somewhere, people are fucking picking on you, man. It's like, why did he say that? When I'm at this party, what? You're left dumbfounded. Why did she say that? That doesn't make any sense. So you can understand why people do exactly what they do. And then the shit that you get, you know how to come back with a bigger sword without actually cutting. You can actually fend for yourself and keep, like, your confidence is always, maybe you can, I know, I talk about this too, but like, sure, man, like, you have power over your mind. When people say something about you, just let the hate go, let it ricochet off. Unfortunately, not all the time that happens. So it's up to you and me to like sort of be savvy in the martial arts of social psychology and understand. And it's something that you experience and learn about quickly when you are in sales, when you're talking to other people. You don't have to be in sales. I started out as a newspaper biker boy. And I used to go around the neighborhood and I would just throw the papers. I would get about 50 cents for a tip. I was making nothing. At the time I was 15. So it was okay. I was doing something. I moved on and I actually started working at GNC, and it was such like a shock to my system. And I go into the GNC today, I'm like, oh my God, did these guys even like want to say hello? I remember when I was in GNC, I had my polo tucked in. I was pretty juicy at this time. I was like 18 years old. I worked as a pizza boy before this. That's another story for later. But going into the GNC, I'm ready. I'm like, finally, I can sell people the supplements that I love. Fuck GNC. I was like a rat in that store. I was like, you know what? I know I'm supposed to sell GNC products, but I'm not. I'm going to sell them the best products because I take them. I know they work. Okay? So I was pumped. And when people come in, they would feel that off me. It would feel that I wanted the same for them. I wanted to like, I really enjoy taking this. You should take it too. And it will help you get a better body, get a better physique, and be happy. And so, not all the time, but you just see everyone lacks that so much in their work because it's not an actual interaction with people anymore. It's like just this another body. It's just these bodies, wave after wave, passing. There's no actual like care or concern. And so, guys, what can you do? You can hone up. You can practice. There's a lot. Yeah. I want to hear your own, because I obviously have limited experience. I've never been a server, but I think that being a server is probably awesome. If you need extra cash, being a server is dope. You get to constantly be around people. You got to be in front of people, right? You get your nerves out probably in the first 2 days. You have to memorize a menu. You get tipped if you know what the thing is? They did a test where they would give people a mint, and the people that got the mint would tip like 10% more, okay? But then the server came back and they gave them another mint, and the tip went like 33% more than it was. Reciprocity. You give to me, I give back to you. It's like, man, so simple, but wow. You can get some crazy tips being a bartender. You're throwing stuff behind your back, you're catching it. I could never do that, but what a great experience that was. You know what the worst job I hated was when I was working night shift. Security. Alone. Now, of course, I tried to use my time. I started reading. Also fucked around a whole bunch. And I was just totally out of my element. And so I was tricked into thinking, I was blindsided. I guess this is it for me. No, man. Be curious. Go back to the childhood. Think about what you could be doing, what you were doing. You probably got a head start on a lot of people. Okay? You can make the most money where people are tipping you, where you're selling something, where you're getting a commission, where you're getting in front of the eyes. I understand, and it's just engaging. It's hard to engage with a computer screen. You don't. Okay? And so you go to this routine and there's nothing left. Now, this is tough. It's tricky. It takes time to think, what do you want to do in your life? Who knows? But you better start switching it up. Shake up your current life, man. And just know that there's plenty of money out there. Really, there's a lot of money to be made. You can have a piece of that pie. I think that you got to keep trying, though. Okay, you got to keep trying. You got to get a little bit uncomfortable. My buddy just moved to like 2 hours away. Getting a little bit uncomfortable. Okay, getting really uncomfortable. That's hard. 2 hours away from your friends. I've done that. I've moved away from my friends. I had no one there. Right. I went to be a bartender. I was cleaning this church in the morning, and then I was going to security on the weekends. Like really uncomfortable. I'm trying. I'm not staying in one place. You got to have that same mentality. Many men grow complacent. They stop being curious. They don't give a fuck. They let the weed come in. They let the beer. They let the booze. They do not care about understanding social dynamics at all. They will never get the girl that they want. Right? Life will just sweep by. And that's not how it's got to be. All right? So in closing, guys, I'm going to leave you with this. Thanks for hanging out this whole time. So recently I started what's called the monkmodebox.com, and it's really a workout. It's centered around a workout, but there's an entire other thing that encompasses this workout. So if you want a better body, I can tell you that health is going to change your life. Being healthy, being strong, having a six-pack, right? Sometimes you bulk up, you don't have it, like me currently, but man, getting shredded down feels amazing. Having a little bit of meat on your back, strong, you can row a boat when you take a girl on a date, feels really good. But you know what else? Like we were talking about understanding what goes on in people's heads, being able to be a little savvy to that. Joining a new Facebook group is also something that you get immediately when you start this, okay? And you just get entered in this new tribe. We're doing a contest this month. It's going to be huge. You can, if you want, post your before pics. I highly encourage you to. I posted mine. A bunch of other guys posted theirs. We're going to try to make a huge transformation.